The Challenger Deep also holds geological secrets about our planet's past.
From glowing amphipods to possible remains of humans and wreckage, Puerto Rico is absolutely a deep-sea enigma. What's discovered deep down is nothing short of mind-blowing. Although a full exploration of the trench has never happened yet, there's 100% fact that all manners of eerie creatures live there. Prepare to dive into a landscape that seems straight out of a sci-fi movie. Time to explore the astonishing secrets lurking in one of the ocean's darkest depths. Wreckage and human remains in the Puerto Rico Trench. The Puerto Rico Trench, the deepest part of the Atlantic Ocean, stretches ominously along the northern coast of Puerto Rico, reaching staggering depths of over 27,500 feet, 8,400 meters. This immense depth, coupled with the remoteness and hostile nature of its environment, has made it one of the least explored parts of the ocean. Among the many scientific, geological and ecological mysteries that surround the trench, one of the more haunting possibilities is the presence of human remains and wreckage, the potential resting place for ships, airplanes, and their unfortunate passengers lost to the sea over centuries. The trench lies along a tectonic boundary where the North American and Caribbean plates converge, a region historically prone to seismic activity and unpredictable oceanic conditions. These natural hazards have contributed to numerous maritime and aerial disasters, particularly during periods when navigation and weather forecasting were less advanced. Though not directly within the bounds of the infamous Bermuda Triangle, the general region has long been associated with mystery and unexplained disappearances, adding a layer of speculation to what might lie at the trench's bottom. Over the decades, stories of ships vanishing without a trace or planes failing to reach their destinations have stoked public imagination and driven speculation that the Puerto Rico Trench may serve as a watery graveyard for many of these lost vessels. Given its inaccessibility, no comprehensive surveys have confirmed the extent of human-related wreckage within the trench. Unlike shallower shipwreck sites that have been studied and even explored by divers, the trench's crushing pressure, reaching over 1,000 times the atmospheric pressure at sea level, makes exploration incredibly difficult. Manned submersibles and remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, capable of reaching such depths are rare and expensive to operate. Consequently, only a handful of scientific missions have ventured into its depths, and none have been able to thoroughly search for or document human remains or historical wreckage. The technological limitations of deep-sea exploration continue to act as a barrier to uncovering whatever secrets the trench may hold. Despite the lack of confirmed findings, the ocean is known for its remarkable ability to preserve, especially in deep, cold, and oxygen-poor environments like the Puerto Rico Trench. In these conditions, decomposition occurs much more slowly. Human bones and even partial soft tissue can potentially survive for decades or even centuries. Shipwrecks, particularly those made of steel or other resilient materials, might remain largely intact under layers of sediment. Artifacts such as personal items, clothing, or cargo could also be scattered along the trench floor, undisturbed for decades due to the near absence of current and light. This creates a sobering possibility that traces of human life, snapshots of final moments, may still rest silently at the bottom. The idea of wreckage lying unseen in the Puerto Rico Trench is a testament to the enduring power and mystery of the ocean. For every ship or plane that disappears, there are families left behind, histories cut short, and questions left unanswered. The trench, in its vast impenetrable silence, may contain clues to some of these mysteries, whether through lost military aircraft, commercial vessels overtaken by storms, or smaller craft dragged down by rogue waves or mechanical failure. It is not unreasonable to believe that the trench has become an accidental crypt, holding within it the remains of lives claimed by the unforgiving sea. As technology advances, future exploration of the Puerto Rico Trench may eventually illuminate some of these dark mysteries. High-resolution sonar, advanced ROVs, and AI-assisted scanning techniques may allow researchers to map the trench in unprecedented detail. If such missions ever succeed in locating wreckage or remains, they could offer valuable insights into historical incidents, and bring long-awaited closure to some of the families and stories connected to these losses. Until then, the Puerto Rico Trench remains a place of speculation, science, and sorrow, one of the last true frontiers on Earth, where the past lies buried under miles of cold, crushing water and a place without a ray of sunlight. Can you think of the imagery now? Let's see if brightness can penetrate the trench. Total darkness. One of the most mind-blowing aspects of the Puerto Rico Trench is the sheer, almost unimaginable amount of pressure that exists down there. At its deepest points, the pressure exceeds 8 tons per square inch. To put that into perspective, that's like trying to survive with the weight of 50 commercial airplanes pressing down on you all at once, focused on a single square inch. No human, no submarine, without serious engineering. And definitely no ordinary fish could handle that kind of stress. It's a crushing, unforgiving environment that challenges the limits of what life can endure. This extreme pressure doesn't just affect living organisms, it also shapes the entire geology of the trench. Rocks are compressed, seafloor sediments are compacted into dense layers, and any equipment sent down has to be built to the toughest standards possible. It's not just a dive, it's a descent into one of the harshest corners of our planet. What's really wild is that even in these brutal conditions, life still finds a way. But it's not the kind of life we're used to. Instead of large fish or colorful coral reefs, you get these strange, otherworldly creatures that have adapted over millions of years to survive where almost nothing else can. Many of them have no bones at all, just soft, squishy bodies that won't collapse under the pressure. Some are tiny, shrimp-like amphipods. Others are so alien in appearance they don't even seem real. We've barely scratched the surface when it comes to discovering what's down there. Every deep-sea dive brings up something new and bizarre, which only adds to the mystique of the trench. But it's not just the pressure that makes the Puerto Rico Trench feel like an alien world. It's the complete and utter darkness. At those depths, sunlight is nothing more than a memory. The trench is so far below the ocean's surface that light doesn't penetrate even a fraction of the way. It's permanent night down there, and this total absence of light creates a haunting, almost surreal environment. Imagine floating through black water with no idea what's around you, no sense of direction, and no visible landmarks. It's like being blind in the middle of the ocean, except you're also under immense pressure and surrounded by creatures that have evolved to navigate without light. The darkness adds a layer of mystery that's hard to describe. It gives the trench this eerie, almost sacred vibe, like it's a place you're not supposed to be. And yet that darkness is also home to some fascinating adaptations. Since many trench-dwelling animals can't rely on vision, they've developed other extraordinary senses. Some detect vibrations, some sense chemical changes in the water, and some have gone a step further and developed bioluminescence, the ability to produce light biologically. These creatures light up the deep sea like stars in the night sky, using flashes and glows to communicate, lure prey, or find mates. It's stunning to think about. In a world with no sunlight, life has evolved to make its own. The combination of extreme pressure and pitch-black darkness makes the Puerto Rico Trench one of the most hostile and awe-inspiring environments on Earth. It's not a place most people think about day to day, but it holds secrets about life, evolution, and even the history of our planet. It's a reminder that we still know very little about our own oceans, and that sometimes the most alien landscapes aren't in outer space, but right here on Earth, hidden beneath miles of water. Never seen creatures. If you've ever wondered where sci-fi movies get their inspiration for alien creatures, look no further than the deep sea, and specifically the Puerto Rico Trench. This vast, shadowy chasm is home to some of the strangest and most alien-like creatures on the planet. Because of the intense pressure, freezing temperatures, and complete darkness, life down there has had to adapt in truly bizarre ways. What results is a cast of deep-sea animals that look like they belong in another galaxy, rather than Earth's oceans. It's weird, fascinating, and sometimes a little creepy, but that's part of what makes it so captivating. One of the most iconic creatures from the deep sea is the anglerfish, and it's just as terrifying as it sounds. Found in dark environments like the Puerto Rico Trench, these fish look like something out of a nightmare. They have huge heads, massive jaws full of needle-like teeth, and their most famous feature, a glowing lure that dangles from their forehead. This fishing rod of flesh is actually a piece of their dorsal spine, tipped with a bioluminescent bulb that attracts unsuspecting prey. In the pitch black of the trench, that eerie glow is like a bug zapper for fish. One quick flash, and the anglerfish strikes.
This is a humpback anglerfish known as a black sea monster. Black because it's black.
To make them even weirder, some species have males that are tiny and fuse permanently to the female's body, living off her nutrients and losing their ability to survive independently. Nature, as it turns out, has a wild imagination. Then there are the giant amphipods, strange, shrimp-like scavengers that look like they're made of glass. These creatures often appear translucent, letting light pass right through their bodies, which is a smart move in a place where staying invisible means staying alive. Despite their delicate appearance, they're incredibly tough and have been spotted scuttling around at some of the trench's deepest points. Amphipods are the cleanup crew of the deep sea, feeding on whatever organic matter falls from above, dead fish, bits of plant matter, or the occasional unfortunate squid. And while amphipods in shallow waters are usually tiny, the trench versions can grow to freakish sizes, sometimes over a foot long. It's a reminder that in the deep sea, normal doesn't really apply. And speaking of squid, oh boy, the stories that come from deep sea explorations would make any horror fan lean in. On rare occasions, explorers using deep-diving submersibles or remote cameras have captured glimpses of gigantic squids or jellyfish drifting through the darkness. These aren't your average calamari. They can stretch many feet long, with massive undulating arms and strange, balloon-like bodies. Because they live so deep, many of these species are still unnamed or unclassified, known only from blurry footage or fleeting glimpses. That mystery only adds to their legend. Some of them may never be seen again, while others could be lurking in the black, undisturbed waters, waiting to be discovered. What makes these creatures so fascinating isn't just their weirdness, it's how perfectly they've adapted to a world most of us will never see. Bioluminescence replaces sunlight. Transparent bodies reduce visibility to predators. Enormous eyes, when they exist, are fine-tuned to pick up the tiniest flicker of movement or light. In many ways, the animals of the Puerto Rico Trench are nature's most extreme survivalists. They're living proof that life can thrive even in the most inhospitable places, and they challenge everything we thought we knew about biology. While the Puerto Rico Trench might seem like a dark and lifeless place at first glance, it's actually teeming with life, just not the kind we're used to. These alien-like creatures, with their glowing lures, see-through skin, and giant drifting limbs, remind us that Earth still holds secrets more bizarre than fiction. It's a living museum of evolution at its wildest, tucked away in a place almost no one will ever visit in person, but one that continues to captivate scientists and curious minds around the world. Beyond the mystery of alien-looking sea creatures and the eerie blackness, one of the most serious things about the Puerto Rico Trench is its reputation as a seismic troublemaker. How hazardous could it get if the quakes happen? Seismic and tsunami threats. This isn't just some quiet scar on the ocean floor. It's a hot zone where the Earth's tectonic plates are in a never-ending tug-of-war. The trench marks the boundary between two massive plates, the North American plate and the Caribbean plate. And when two of the Earth's crustal giants are colliding and sliding past each other, things can get violent. This region is one of the most geologically active in the Atlantic, and that means earthquakes, sometimes big ones, and the ever-present threat of tsunamis. Every so often, stress that has been building up between these two tectonic plates suddenly gives way, releasing energy in the form of an earthquake. Some of these quakes are relatively mild and go unnoticed by anyone not monitoring a seismograph, but others can be powerful enough to shake cities, crack roads, damage buildings, and send shockwaves through the ocean. Underwater earthquakes are especially concerning because they can displace massive volumes of water in a short amount of time. When that happens, all that water has to go somewhere, and it often turns into a tsunami. The entire region around the trench, including Puerto Rico, the US Virgin Islands, and other Caribbean nations, lives under the shadow of this possibility. In fact, history has already shown us just how dangerous the trench can be. One of the most notable examples is the 1918 earthquake near Puerto Rico's northwest coast, which triggered a tsunami that caused significant damage and killed over 100 people. That quake wasn't even the strongest one that could occur in the region. Scientists believe that the Puerto Rico Trench has the potential to generate a mega-thrust earthquake, a rare but extremely powerful type of quake caused by the sudden, massive movement of one tectonic plate slipping beneath another. These are the big ones, the same kind that led to the devastating tsunamis in Indonesia 2004 and Japan 2011. If a similar event were to happen in the trench, it could cause a tsunami not only in the Caribbean, but also along the US East Coast, potentially impacting cities like Miami, Charleston, and even New York.
Many in Puerto Rico have been sleeping outside since a 6.4 magnitude earthquake hit there last week.
Of course, a mega-thrust earthquake in the Puerto Rico Trench is a what-if scenario. It hasn't happened in recent history, but it's not just fear-mongering. Geologists and oceanographers take the risk seriously because the signs are there. The trench's tectonic setup, the history of seismic activity in the area, and our understanding of how pressure builds and releases along subduction zones all point to the potential. That's why there's ongoing research, constant monitoring, and the development of early warning systems. Scientists use ocean bottom seismometers, GPS sensors, and tsunami detection buoys to track every little movement the plates make. The idea is to gather as much data as possible, so that if something big does start to happen, we get a warning early enough to save lives. Governments and emergency management agencies around the region have also stepped up. Coastal towns have evacuation plans in place, tsunami alert systems have been installed, and schools even conduct drills to teach students how to respond in case of an earthquake or tsunami. The hope is that preparation and awareness can prevent a natural disaster from becoming a human tragedy. It's not about living in fear, it's about respecting the power of nature and being smart about what we now know. What makes this all the more intense is that it's happening out of sight, beneath thousands of feet of water. The Puerto Rico Trench, with all its mystery and beauty, is also a sleeping giant, a reminder that the Earth is always moving and shifting under our feet and under the sea. It may be quiet now, but the tectonic forces beneath it never really stop. They're always building, always pressing, always on the edge of something. Whether it's tomorrow or 100 years from now, the potential for a major seismic event is part of what defines this region. While the trench draws curiosity for its extreme depth and strange life forms, it also demands respect. It's a place of incredible scientific interest, but also one of real geological risk. The more we learn, the better prepared we can be. And that's one of the biggest reasons researchers continue to explore, monitor, and study the Puerto Rico Trench with such intensity. It's not just about discovering what's down there, it's about understanding what might happen above it. Explorations and the future. Over the years, the Puerto Rico Trench has drawn the attention of scientists and explorers from around the world, and recent expeditions have revealed a lot more about this mysterious part of the Atlantic. Several exploration cruises, led by the United States Geological Survey, USGS, have used advanced ship-mounted multi-beam sonar systems to map the entire trench in incredible detail for the first time. These sonar systems work by bouncing sound waves off the seafloor to create highly accurate 3D maps, revealing the trench's true shape, depth, and complexity. The first recorded visit to the actual seafloor of the trench happened in 1964, when the French bathyscaphe Archimède made a historic dive. Decades later, in 2012, a robotic vehicle returned to the site, capturing high-resolution footage and collecting biological samples from the deep. One of the most striking things seen in the video was a large swarm of amphipods, tiny shrimp-like creatures that scavenge along the ocean floor. Some of these amphipods were caught using bait bags and brought to the surface for study. The species collected was Scopolechoirus schellenbergi, a type of amphipod previously only found in ultra-deep trenches of the Pacific, which made its presence here particularly surprising. The video footage also captured two other unusual deep-sea invertebrates. One was a soft, dark sea cucumber, roughly 10 to 20 centimeters long, tentatively identified by Dr. Stace E. Beaulieu of Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution as belonging to the genus Peniagone. The second was a small, active crustacean that resembled a monopsid isopod, known for their unique jumping and walking behavior. While neither of these creatures were collected for further study, their appearance could represent the deepest known sightings for their respective families, Peniagone and Monopsidae. In a major milestone for human deep-sea exploration, American explorer Victor Vescovo descended to the deepest part of the Puerto Rico Trench, and, by extension, the Atlantic Ocean, on December 19, 2018. This dive was part of his ambitious 5 Deeps expedition, which aimed to reach the deepest points in each of the world's 5 oceans. Using the Deep Submergence Vehicle DSV limiting factor, a specially designed submersible built to withstand extreme depths, Vescovo reached a depth of 8,376 meters, 27,080 feet, give or take a few meters, based on direct pressure readings. Interestingly, the deepest part of the trench where he landed has sometimes been referred to in media reports as Brownson Deep, although earlier references often used the name Milwaukee Deep for the same general area. The dive itself was supported by the vessel DSSV Pressure Drop, which used a Kongsberg Simrad EM124 multi-beam echo sounder to continue mapping the trench. The data collected during this mission has been contributed to the GBECO Seabed 2030 initiative, a global project aiming to map the entire ocean floor by the year 2030. One of the most captivating things about the Puerto Rico Trench is how much of it is still a mystery. Despite decades of ocean exploration and all the advanced technology we have today, this massive underwater feature remains largely unexplored.
Oceans of the world, as it's almost a cliche to say, it's 70% of our entire planet, and of that, 95% is unexplored.
Sure, we've mapped its basic shape and know its general depth, but when it comes to actually knowing what's down there, the truth is, we've barely scratched the surface. The trench stretches for hundreds of kilometers and reaches mind-boggling depths, with crushing pressure, freezing temperatures, and complete darkness making it nearly impossible to explore thoroughly. It's like the deep ocean version of outer space, vast, extreme, and full of unknowns. These harsh conditions mean that sending people, or even robotic equipment, to the bottom of the trench is no small feat. It takes years of planning, millions of dollars, and incredibly tough machines just to get a few glimpses of what's going on down there. As a result, most of the Puerto Rico Trench is still untouched and unseen by human eyes. In fact, scientists estimate that we know more about the surface of the Moon or Mars than we do about the very bottom of our own oceans, including this trench. That level of mystery naturally leads to curiosity, and sometimes a bit of wild imagination. Because so little is known about what lies in the darkest parts of the trench, it has become the perfect backdrop for deep-sea myths and unsettling speculation. People wonder what kinds of creatures might be lurking in the cold, silent blackness. Some even suggest the trench could hide underwater anomalies, things that don't show up clearly on sonar or video footage, sparking theories about hidden caverns, secret military bases, or even remnants of lost civilizations. While these ideas might sound far-fetched, the truth is, the trench's inaccessibility makes it hard to completely rule anything out, which just adds to the allure. The fact that it's so close to land, just off the coast of Puerto Rico, and within reach of the broader Caribbean, makes it even more intriguing. It's not some distant abyss in the middle of the Pacific, it's right here, on our side of the world, hiding secrets just beneath the waves. For scientists, that mystery is exciting, a puzzle waiting to be solved. We cannot talk about the Puerto Rico Trench without mentioning other trenches. How is it compared to Mariana and others in terms of pop culture? Is there a best trench? When people think of the deepest, most mysterious parts of the ocean, the Mariana Trench usually comes to mind.
The world's oceans don't go any deeper than the Pacific's Mariana Trench.
It's been the star of countless documentaries, scientific studies, and even blockbuster movies. But just over in the Atlantic Ocean, the Puerto Rico Trench quietly holds its own place in the spotlight of deep-sea mystery. Though it isn't quite as deep as the Mariana, the Puerto Rico Trench has a unique aura, part scientific marvel, part enigma, that captures the imagination in its own right. It's like the Atlantic's dark, secretive cousin, lurking just beneath the waves, full of unknowns and stories waiting to be told. What really fuels the Puerto Rico Trench's place in popular culture is its close proximity to one of the world's most infamous and enduring legends, the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle is roughly defined as the stretch of ocean bounded by Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, known for an unusual number of disappearances of ships and airplanes over the decades. While the trench itself technically lies just outside the core boundaries of the Bermuda Triangle, people often associate the two. It's an easy connection to make because the trench represents an immense, dark, and largely unexplored underwater chasm right near this area, famous for mystery. For many, the Puerto Rico Trench is the perfect underwater lair for all kinds of strange happenings that the Bermuda Triangle legends talk about: magnetic anomalies, mysterious disappearances, and unexplained phenomena. Over the years, stories and speculations about the trench have taken on a life of their own, mixing science with myth and imagination. Some have suggested that the trench might hide ancient secrets, such as submerged civilizations lost to time, or bizarre creatures that defy classification. These ideas are partly fueled by the fact that very little of the trench has actually been explored in person. When you combine the harsh reality of an environment where crushing pressure and complete darkness dominate with the fact that scientists have only just started to map the seafloor or send submersibles down, the unknown space naturally invites all sorts of theories. Pop culture has embraced this mysterious vibe. Documentaries and books often highlight the Puerto Rico Trench as a place where the natural world turns alien, where creatures glow in the dark, behave in weird ways, or seem almost otherworldly. The strange amphipods, deep-sea cucumbers, and ghostly isopods spotted in footage from robotic dives add to the sense that this trench is home to life forms unlike anything we're used to on the surface. These images and stories stir curiosity and wonder, but they also fuel the kind of eerie fascination that often leads to speculation beyond the bounds of science. In movies and TV shows, the Puerto Rico Trench sometimes pops up as a setting for thrilling or supernatural adventures. Writers and filmmakers tap into the trench's reputation as a forbidding, unexplored abyss to set scenes of danger, discovery, or even horror. It's a natural fit for tales involving lost treasures, sunken ships, and strange underwater phenomena. Sometimes the trench is depicted as a mysterious portal to other dimensions, or a place where strange energies interfere with navigation and technology. While these stories lean heavily on fantasy, they reflect our collective fascination with the ocean's dark, unseen depths. The Puerto Rico Trench also features in more serious explorations of our planet's last frontiers. Modern adventurers and scientists, like Victor Vescovo and his team during the Five Deeps expedition, have pushed the boundaries of human exploration by diving to the trench's deepest points. These dives are major news because they represent a blend of cutting-edge technology, human courage, and the enduring urge to explore the unknown. The fact that we can now reach the bottom of such a remote and extreme environment and bring back footage and samples is a testament to how far ocean science has come, but it also highlights just how much remains to be discovered. What's interesting is that the Puerto Rico Trench's cultural appeal lies not just in its mysteries or its connection to the Bermuda Triangle, but also in what it represents, a part of our planet that's still wild, unexplored, and full of surprises. In an era when we can see images from Mars and the Moon in stunning detail, the ocean depths remain one of the last places on Earth where mystery still rules. The trench embodies that sense of wonder and the thrill of the unknown. It reminds us that, despite all our technology, there are places right here on our own planet where we're still feeling our way in the dark. Whether you're drawn by the strange creatures spotted in the deep, the possibility of ancient secrets waiting to be uncovered, or the dramatic stories linked to the nearby Bermuda Triangle, the Puerto Rico Trench has a hold on the popular imagination. It's a place where science meets legend, fact meets fiction, and the known meets the unknowable. And for many, that combination is irresistible, fueling fascination and inspiring generations of explorers, storytellers, and dreamers to keep looking deeper, beyond what's visible, and into the abyss. Did you find the video interesting? Tell us what you think in the comments section. Subscribe to the channel for more.